Joe, congratulations on the film. You're very well versed in the story of Ted Bundy because you've made the documentary that's been on Netflix.
Yeah.
Now you've made a dramatised version. So
Yeah.
why the interest in him in particular?
Well, I think Bundy defies all of our expectations of what we want to think a serial killer is. We want to think a serial killer is some weird-looking social outcast that doesn't fit into society because that gives us the false comfort that, okay, they're easily identifiable.
He doesn't look like a murderer.
Exactly. Yes. They're easily identifiable and therefore we might avoid their fate. But what Bundy teaches us, in fact, Bundy says it himself, murderers don't come out of the dark with long fangs and blood dripping off their chin. They're your father, your brother, people you've worked with, people you admire. And that's a hard lesson for people, but I think it's an important one, that you can't trust people just because of how they look and they feel. Because in my experience, I'm mainly known for documentaries, and in my experience in covering crime over 25 years, it's the people you least expect and most often trust that do the most evil in the world. Priests who commit pedophilia, for example, that's a horrible violation of trust. And they commit pedophilia one day, and on the next they're holding mass and being a spiritual leader. That's a horrible violation of that you wouldn't expect. Same thing with Bundy. He had a live-in girlfriend, Elizabeth Klupfer, played by Lily Collins, who thought he was a wonderful guy. He was, by all accounts, an excellent boyfriend. He was, by all accounts, an excellent surrogate father to her daughter from another relationship. And yet, during the 7 years they lived together, he was a mass murderer. And I think, for a younger generation who hasn't heard of Bundy, in an era where there's internet catfishing and people pretending to be one thing when in fact they're another, I think it's a lesson that can't be overstated.
And you mentioned his girlfriend Liz there, and the film is actually through her eyes, as it were. Why did you choose that approach?
Well, I think we've seen many, many serial killer films. The classic serial killer film is the police stumble upon a crime scene at the beginning of the movie. There's an escalating body count. There's a police procedural where they finally track the killer down, and by the end of the movie, they have their man. I'm not interested in making a film just about the depravity of violence. For me, making a film about betrayal and the nature of deception and the nature of evil was what I was interested in doing. So by seeing the film through a victim's point of view, by seeing the film through the eyes of somebody who thought he was innocent for so long, I think it's a different take on the serial killer movie and allows us to get a glimpse of what it's like to become a victim or to become betrayed and deceived by somebody who is not what you think they are.
And I can't not mention Zac Efron, who plays Bundy in the film, because the resemblance is absolutely startling. But it's also, for him, a role like nothing we've ever really seen him do before.
Yeah.
So how crucial was he to the project? I mean, was it really difficult for you to sell in that idea to the money men of him doing that part?
Well, it was more difficult to convince Zac than the money men to do the movie. Zac was my first choice. I thought he would be brilliant at the role. I think he's a terrific actor who hasn't been given enough opportunities to show his full range. And so I had to cajole Zac a little bit, and he was concerned that he didn't want to just do the cliche, okay, I'm a former Disney star, now I'm doing a dark role. He wanted to make sure that the movie had an important message, particularly for his fans, and that's exactly why I thought he would be terrific for a certain demographic of people, including my daughter's generation. Zac is a guy who can do no wrong because of how he looks, because of his profile, his persona. And as a documentarian, I'm always looking for something real to grab onto. And the idea that I could take his real-life persona of a teen heartthrob who for many people he can do no wrong, and bring that into this movie as a way of portraying the nature of deception and betrayal, to me, I felt it was really an essential ingredient to pull the film off.
And it could be a watershed role for him.
People have really, luckily we've mainly gotten excellent reviews, but even the bad reviews we've gotten all universally praise Zac's performance as career changing, and I hope it is because I think he deserves it.
Joe, thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you very much. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.